sports fan friends so you can tell them about the show.
Yes.
The more interactive the show, the more fun the arguments can become, and just kind of builds off. So.
And also, if you are sitting watching right now, what's the big talker for you this week? What are the stories? I mean, I'll even ask you, Mike. What are you excited about? All right, I had to get some shit off my desk.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited about the Vikings and how they're looking. We'll talk about that a little bit. I'm apprehensive about our other sports teams, so we'll get more into that. I'm excited about the World Cup, but I don't know how excited to be. I think your mic is off.
Yeah, I got it now. Are the Vikings going to the Super Bowl?
Are they good enough to? Yes.
Are they going?
I'm gonna say yeah. I'm gonna say yeah. Yeah. Because the only team in the NFC that I think is a real problem for us right now is I'm gonna give it to Philly. I think the Dallas game, we'll get more into it, was an anomaly. And
so I don't know where the Chiefs are at, but don't you feel like once you face a team like that in the playoffs, though, that could be another story, regardless how their regular season is?
Yeah, but we wouldn't face the Chiefs until we got to the Super Bowl, right?
But I'm just saying.
So it would just be a replay of Super Bowl 4. Yeah.
Don't bring up Super Bowl 4 again. No.
The only teams like that in the NFC right now, in my opinion, are probably the Eagles and Cowboys.
Okay.
Everybody wants to call the Niners that. They were 3-4. They've won 4 straight. They're kind of figuring out who they are. Has been the talk of the town. I think the Niners are a very, very well-coached, fundamental, hard-nosed football team, which is tough to beat in the playoffs. But a team that can make one-handed grabs on 4th and 18 and has that type of magic is a team that would beat that team. So we'll see. Gabe's just doing a little bit more fine-tuning on the cameras. It's really, really difficult to make me look appropriate for camera, so credit to Gabe there.
Fine.
And then we'll start the show.
Oh, Dolly, the show is all yours whenever you're ready.
Alrighty. Here we go. All right, everybody, welcome back to Glass Half Sports. I am one half of your hosting duties, Mike Mensing. The other half today is still comatose on the couch from Thanksgiving. So we're actually going to hand off those hosting duties to the producer in the back, Gabe.
Hello, everybody. I'm happy to be here. Very excited to talk sports. Gabe Noah here. Yes.
Yeah, so we have Glass Half Sports with Mike and Gabe this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Take note, we even changed the graphic. It's becoming a little bit more common of a thing, so we're just making sure we're ready, just in case it's just me and you, Gabe. And welcome to the month of December. If you're living in Minnesota, hopefully you're all shoveled out and staying warm. Again, this is an interactive show, so make sure you like, share, comment in, and we'll get to your comments throughout the show. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, YouTube, and Patreon. We do have a Twitch as well, so make sure to comment in what games you would like to see us play on Twitch. We can be found post-show on MCN6, which is local cable here in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Otherwise, you can access MCN6 through your Roku app anywhere in the nation. Gabe, we do have a big show today, and I hope you're ready. We're going to go off on some tangents. Man, I always like it when it's just a me and you show. We get a little bit less structure because we kind of have the time.
You should see the ratings, too.
Yeah, really?
They go through the roof.
Is that right? I'm not super surprised.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't be.
So the format for today is a little bit quicker, just allowing us to kind of go off on our tangents. We're going to talk four corners. That's what we're calling our Minnesota sports segment because we're actually going to talk about all four of the major sports. So we're going to talk Vikings, we're going to talk Wild, Timberwolves, and then we do have some Twins developments to touch base with you guys on as well. We have a segment called Freshman Midterms. We're going to actually review first-year head coaches. There were 10 of them. We limited it to 5 or 6 that we'll kind of revisit and see how they're doing throughout their first year in the NFL. We have our key games of the NFL this week. Playoff contention is starting to heat up. Teams are starting to vie for those 7 spots in either conference. So we'll check in on 3 big games in the league. And then we're going to end with World Cup soccer. I have an interesting prompt to ask Gabe when we get to that segment. I've been thinking about it all week. It should be kind of funny as well. And it's something I want you guys to weigh in on as sports fans.
I think you just ruined it right there, though.
Oh, just wait.
By like telling people how funny.
Oh, just wait. Be, yeah. It might not be like hilarious. It's going to be in World Cup soccer segment. It might not be hilarious, but it's going to be entertaining for sure. Just something to think about.
Tip from a comedian.
Never say
how funny something is going to be.
Very true. Very true. All right. So with that, let's kick off.
Sorry to damage your confidence right out of the gate.
You're good.
Yeah.
Let's kick off with a little bit of Vikings review. Honestly, I don't want to talk about the Cowboys game very much. It's been a week and a half now. We've played a game in between. We lost 40-3. It's probably the worst game we'll play in the next 10 years.
Yeah, but what the fuck happened? I mean, honestly, as the dude who missed it and everything.
Yeah,
so see that score
what I think happened was it was an emotional, draining game against Buffalo the week before in Buffalo to come out with a win. You turn around, you come home against a team that in theory isn't as good as Buffalo. You probably let your guard down slightly. You're thinking you're top of the mountain. And they were ready to play, man. They came out. I mean, it was a football game can get away from you very, very quickly if you don't play sound football, right? And we came out right away. We were not playing sound football. They score. We kick a field goal. They kick a field goal to answer. It's 10-3. We don't score again. They score. We don't score again. They score. It's 23-3 by half. Our offense could never really get it going. The loss of Christian Darrisaw that game and then the pressure of Micah Parsons was definitely a disruptor to our offensive flow. With that, I don't think that the scheme was probably ideal for what Dallas does very well.
Not ideal? You don't think?
Not ideal.
40-3?
I'm going to say a 37-point differential is probably not an ideal scheme going into that game. The frustrating thing is, like, you didn't see adjustments, right? So you're down 23-3 at half. That's not an insurmountable lead, right? But then you proceed to not score again in the second half. It was deflating, man. I texted Nick immediately after this and said, this kind of proves my point that the Vikings are a good team, not a great team. Because great teams will lose games, but not by 37 points.
I don't know how anyone doesn't look at that, any Vikings fan, and not just get PTSD about past Vikings teams. This is what we do. Honestly, I thought of the playoff game against the Giants back in the day.
So, actually, I don't know if you remember this, but right before the show that we had before we played the Cowboys, I told Nick that we were primed for a loss, just like the 2000 NFC Championship game where we lost 41-0.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm going to check that because I don't believe you. But that is great. No, I actually does. That does ring a bell. And that's exactly what it felt like. And then we lose 40-3. Yeah. That's exactly what it felt like. I mean, maybe that's why. But, yeah. Is there anything else you see in the future?
To be honest, we know our weaknesses. We know all of them. That's not always a bad thing.
What are those weaknesses? We let down? We don't scheme properly?
We have to play every game, right? I don't think the scheme was it just wasn't as creative as it typically is, but when you're behind the sticks constantly, if you're 2nd and 10, 3rd and 8, I don't care what your scheme is, that's tough. You don't have many 3rd and 8 play calls typically. Right. And that's kind of was the story of that game. Dallas was facing a lot of 3rd and 1s, 3rd and 2s. We were 3rd, 8, 9, and 10 consistently throughout the entire game. So first down efficiency was a big thing that was lacking in that game. And it was also something that we did change and got a lot better at against New England. And that's kind of why I wanted to just leave the Dallas game in the past, because we kind of already showed, okay, we recognize these weaknesses and got better.
That said, not an option. What are the
you should not lose 40-3 if you're a playoff team in the NFL, period.
Obviously, it's a team sport, but if you had to put it on one person's shoulder, who's the person who could have been a bit of a hero and at least made it a game?
I mean,
is it a coach? Is it
to be honest? I think it's Kevin O'Connell is to blame for the 40-3 loss. because I don't think the team was ready to play. And whenever the team isn't ready to play, I think that falls back on the coach's shoulders. If a team looks unprepared, they are.
Did you see anything that the Cowboys were doing on first down that was different than what other teams have?
Not really. I mean, our defense has been a bend, don't break defense throughout the entire year. And Dallas took advantage of that. They gained 5-6 yards on first down running the football between the tackles.
I actually meant for for their defense. I guess.
Their defense,
now that I say it, but I mean either one. But yeah,
they pressured the passer very well. They had decent coverage on the outside, but it also seemed like Cousins was just off. The timing was off.
Did you say soft?
Off.
Oh,
OFF.
okay.
I actually think soft is the one thing that doesn't describe him. He's actually a pretty tough dude.
Okay.
He takes some big hits, and he's like never gotten hurt. It's kind of insane. Yeah, he just seemed off. The timing was off, though, because of the pressure. You know, if it's a 3-step drop and you're hitting that 9-yard out route, and you get to your third step and DeMarcus Lawrence is in your face, now you're throwing off your back foot. That ball's not going to be as accurate. It all ties together. And I don't think anybody played well against Dallas. But contrastly, on Thanksgiving in a primetime game where the Vikings aren't supposed to be very good and Kirk Cousins isn't supposed to be very good, I thought he played very well. I thought our defense did what they've done all year, even though that's kind of the highlight that I want to talk about. And then we end up with a win on Thanksgiving night, primetime in front of the nation, and go 9-2. And we are in an absolutely commanding lead in the NFC North at this point. The story to me, however, is you're still losing to a team, in my opinion, that is inferior to you going into the fourth quarter. That is not a recipe for success that is sustainable over the long haul, especially once you get into the playoffs and you're playing teams that are superior to you and you're losing going into the fourth quarter.
I could be wrong on this, but to me, like letting down, playing down to your competitors' level when they're beneath you, truly is one of the most alarming, or shall I say, Viking-esque qualities that a team can have. And that's why I say Nick's been pretty dead on about this team, and he's kind of seen it the right way. But if he were here today, which he's too soft not to, or too you get what I'm trying to say. I believe that he would probably be diminishing this, and I think that that's not right. I think this is really a bad sign.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. I think playing down to the competition playing down to the level of your competition is a red flag in the difference of a good team and a great team.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it just feels like a team.
You can still be a
ready.
good team and play down to your competition and win games. That's fine. But you're not a great team.
Right.
And I think it's 2 back-to-back games that show that we're not a great team. Lose by 37 points, great teams don't do that. And then barely beat a team that's inferior.
For some reason, that sentencing, great teams don't lose by 37, is really funny. But yeah, I mean, it's exactly right. And it's like I hate being negative in this exact way that I'm about to, but it's like we're one of those teams who you have all the talent, all the momentum, and then you get plucked in the first round of the playoffs. And then next year we come back and win the Super Bowl kind of thing. I don't want that to happen. I'm just saying it has that feeling.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah. I saw a graphic this morning that kind of laid out the playoff picture, and it had, top true contenders, teams that scare me a little bit, teams that will make the playoffs and don't scare me at all. And that's where the Vikings were.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, this is something we're going to talk about later on, but this is a question that I have for this new generation of coaches who are these players, coaches, rah-rah system guys, is that what do you do when your team, gets themselves in the ditch, kind of? Do you have what it takes to – sometimes it's hard to buddy people out of a tough spot,
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I agree completely. Honestly, I heard something on the radio as we kind of start to preview the Jets game coming up this weekend. I can't remember who said it, but I heard it on the radio. Basically, I see a very real possibility of the Vikings making it to the Super Bowl game and us going, they're still not a great team. Really though, like, well, they won on a last-second field goal, or well, the other team missed a last-second field goal to win, and now we're in.
Are you saying that as a criticism of how we are as fans, or that's a real critique of
I think
the
it's
team?
both a criticism of how we are as fans because we don't just enjoy the fact that our team is 9-2, me included, me 100% included. But it's also a criticism on how this team wins football games, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's. I get that it's the NFL and there's not really a true skill differential between teams, really. Like, it's so minute
Yes.
at this point. But at the end of the day, if you're going to be better than your competition, you need to show that consistently, in my opinion, to be like a great team.
Is the coaches are the coaches now the biggest X factor? Like, I mean, is it weighted more now than it was 20 years ago? Do you think?
I think schemes are weighted. Well, I don't know. Schemes have always been weighted pretty heavily. You know, the Wildcat formation worked for 2 years for Miami before anybody figured it out, and they were a playoff team because of it. I think the schemes that we're seeing nowadays are very well entwined and to me strike me as just smoother than, hey, let's run power counter from the 70s, you know. I don't know. I think a really good coach that is playing that chess game behind the scenes will help you down the long run. And I think KOC is trying his best to participate in that chess game. I do think there are first-year head coaches that are playing checkers and that are struggling, and we'll get into that later. But yeah, I think the coaches are an X factor. I would say maybe slightly more than in the past, but at the end of the day, it's the guys playing the game. So as we preview the Jets game, Gabe, this is going to be our 5th game in 6 weeks or something like that against top 7 defenses in the NFL. Yeah.
Oh,
it's pretty
that's
insane,
actually,
right?
Yeah.
And I think if we win this game, we'll have gone like 4-1 against those 5 defenses.
So I thought this was an interesting take on it. You can look at it the way that we have just been discussing.
Yeah.
Or Sports Illustrated just put out this article saying, why are the Vikings the clutchiest? Let's see. The Vikings have been the best clutch team in the NFL. Can they keep doing it?
Sure.
And, you know, maybe we're Vikings fans, so we look at everything as like, you know, that we're eking things out when, you know, there is another way to see it. So I was going to go through some of the details where you're talking to see if there's anything compelling. But yeah, I mean, that's what, and then it said that Justin Jefferson just got NFL Player of the Week, too.
Yeah, he's nuts, man. Is he better than Randy Moss?
So to me, I love this discussion because I don't think so personally. I think Randy Moss is probably the best receiver that's ever played the game. And the thing about Jefferson that messes with my head is every other time you've had a watershed talent come along, someone who like changes the game, you can watch them play and you immediately know what is great about them.
Sure.
What they do better. I mean, Randy Moss, I don't know, like our younger listeners probably won't even know this, but guess what? They didn't throw jump balls in the 80s. It really didn't exist in the same way. If it happened, it was an accident.
Right.
So many things that Randy Moss did, even the way people did do one-hand catches, but very rare, and it was an insane highlight.
Right.
He was the first guy who drilled it and actually caught it with like some finesse.
Right.
He changed everything. Now every team has a big man who does jump balls. If you don't have a jump ball guy, you're fucked.
To be honest, I look at JJ though, and I don't know. I can't say that he's better than Moss because to me it's so apples and oranges. I look at JJ as a taller, skinnier Chris Carter and how he plays. More so, he's more of that guy who's going to catch everything. He's not necessarily going to take the top off the defense.
So to me, what Carter's talent is he was so brilliant at communicating with his quarterback and at finding those open holes in the defense and sitting in it and playing, like, you know, he played old man rec league basketball.
Yeah.
In a sense, right? And I loved it. I mean, truly, one of my favorite all-time Vikings. But when I see Jefferson, I guess in a way I compare him more to Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
In that it seems like he just does everything really well.
Yep.
But I'd be really curious. I mean, really, what is the thing that he does? Why is he so much better than so many guys? And is he? Or does he just have kind of some momentum or some shit going on right now?
I think talent-wise, there's probably about 5 or 6 guys that are pretty dang equal at the top, right? And then you kind of just got to look at statistics to separate them the best you can. I think JJ is fast enough to get open on single coverage. I don't think you can cover him one-on-one because of his speed, but he's definitely not a burner. He's not going to just blow by everybody, right? His first 2 or 3 steps out of cuts are pretty much full speed, which allows him to get open and create separation on most routes. He is savvy. He does sit down in zones and kind of understands what defenses are trying to do to him. So he has that Chris Carter effect to him. And then his hands, man. If he could catch it, he's going to catch it, which is kind of a mentality thing, and it's insane to watch.
How old is he?
23, I want to say.
Oh yeah,
24.
Yeah, I was really similar to that at that age. It is, yeah, it's crazy when you think of it that way. Holy shit.
He is 23. He was born in 99, maturity. Gabe.
Wow. That's crazy, man. It is. That blows me away. I'm actually pulling up the stats right now, the top 5 NFL wide receivers.
Yeah.
And it's interesting here.
What's going to be really fun about this week against the Jets too is the defensive back that they have over there, Sauce Gardner, who's a rookie, is
I know the Sauce. That's awesome.
He's pretty much the number 1 corner in the league right now.
He's got the number 1 nickname in the league.
He does.
There's something about, or I guess it could be his biological name for all I know, but
no, it's a mod.
Okay.
It's biological.
It is.
So what's JJ's
so we've got
20? No, he's 1 yard behind.
Yeah, on yards, Tyreek Hill is 1 ahead. Now, I'd say, to me, that's very impressive because for Tyreek Hill.
Right.
Because, holy shit, he's in Miami with, I don't know what's been going on with their quarterback stuff.
Right.
Devontae Adams, too, man. I'm impressed that he's there with all the shit that team.
They're bad, but he's good.
Man. So, of those guys, so we got Tyreek Hill 1. So, this is just going by yards. Tyreek Hill, number 1. So, let's check out by average among those top 5. Well, then Jalen Waddle comes up. If you go by TDs, Devontae Adams in a walk. Never mind.
Stephon's right there.
Yards per game. That's what that is. Yeah. He's tied for 0.1 behind Tyreek Hill. Yak. I mean, how do you differentiate him? Like what?
Yeah, something I look at. I try to look at is total targets. You know, Devontae Adams has 123 targets or something like that.
Let's see. Oh, look at that. Now, this was telling to me.
So that's
yards
a running
after
back.
Catch.
Yeah, JJ's tied for second.
It says receiving stats, though, but yeah. Okay.
The number 1 guy is a running back.
Yeah.
Number 2.
And number 2.
Yeah.
And then number 3 is a tight end?
Yeah. Travis Kelce.
Holy shit.
Yeah, he's insane, man.
When do you see that? That's impressive.
Well, with him on the field, he's up. I think he's 6th in yards.
Wow. So, let's see. And then you said targeted?
Yeah, so who's been targeted the most? So what is that number
Targets
3,
right here.
TG?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm clicking on the wrong
Oh,
screen.
you're good. So Devontae Adams has 123 targets, but only 71 catches. So almost half the time he gets thrown the ball, it ends with a catch.
What is FD? The very last stat, FD.
First downs.
Oh, first downs. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, it is interesting how much these guys are dominating the top 5, though. You know, I mean, in every category.
If you look at true skills too, is CeeDee Lamb up there? He's number 5 right there with targets. You know what I mean? The difference in a CeeDee Lamb versus a Justin Jefferson is so close. Is CeeDee Lamb really worse than JJ? Maybe by a minute, very small amount. But JJ is also in a system that allows him to excel. Different things, right? So it's interesting. I think JJ is a top 5 receiver in the NFL right now. Would I say he's the best? I don't know.
Yeah,
and that's as a
well,
Vikings fan, to be honest.
is there anyone that you take over him? Devontae Adams? Like realistically, do you think he's better than Devontae?
I would take JJ. Like, if I was building a team for the long haul, I would take JJ probably first because he's 23.
How about you just have this 1 year to go to the Super Bowl?
I might take Devontae Adams.
He's not the best wide receiver in the league.
Yeah, I don't know. I like what he does.
No, I think he's fucking awesome. I think it's awesome to have him. We've been lucky with wide receivers over the years.
Yep.
So
let's preview the Jets real quick. They, Gabe, have this interesting offense that just seems to work no matter who's playing. So they had a guy start last week, his second ever start in the NFL, Mike White. 300 some yards, 3 touchdowns, and the win. He had a start last year, 300 some yards, 4 touchdowns, and the win. I think he's going to do the same to the Minnesota Vikings defense. I would not be surprised to see Mike White have 350 and 3. Hopefully that's their only 3 though. Their running game, we've seen 4 or 5 different running backs. Went and got James Robinson from the Jaguars, who's filled in nicely since Breece Hall's injury. I don't know, man. This seems like this to me strikes me as a game that's going to be pretty dang close. It's going to be more defensive than anything. They have a top 5 defense in the NFL, led by Sauce Gardner in the secondary. It's to me, this is the game that Greg Joseph and his misses is going to cost us. I'm actually going to call this game a 23-24 loss, and it's due to a Greg Joseph missed extra point. So the reason I'm drawing on this is because Greg Joseph this year, Gabe, let's look up his stats here.
Oh, you son of a bitch. I just got up the, I was trying to get up the actual comparisons with them right now.
Oh, sure.
By the way, the spread, -3 for the Vikings.
So that's...
Do you take that bet?
Remind me, -3 is...
-3 means that we have to win by more than 3 points.
So we should win by 3 is basically...
We should win by a field goal is what they're saying. So we'd have to win by 4 for you to win the money.
I would not take that bet. I would bet on the Jets with that tight of a spread. All of our games that we've played this year have been really close. So, I don't know.
And this is in New York, right?
It is.
Or is it here?
At home.
It is.
I believe.
Ooh. Maybe I do. Whatever. So the matchup predictor, it says, of the Glass Half Sports team, or Crack Glass Half stat team.
Yeah.
69%.
Wow, 69% of the voters took the Vikes, huh?
I did not manipulate that number.
We have a pretty Minnesota sports fan base, though, so that might be a little bit biased as well.
That is true.
So Greg Joseph on the year, Gabe, he's 16 for 21 from field goals, but 6 of 11 at home.
16 for 21 is shaky.
And 6 of 11 at home is terrible.
That is awful. That means that it is in his psyche.
Right.
And it is not going to get better as the year goes on, typically.
And he has missed 5 extra points this year.
You know, I would say that I think I'd have similar numbers.
Yeah, right? So, I don't know, man. I think the inconsistency at the kicker position is going to come bite us at some point. And I think the Jets play good enough defense. They don't turn the ball over offensively. I think it's going to be a close game late. And I think the leg of Greg Joseph is going to finally do us in.
Well, I mean, that to me, that is like the least controversial thing you can say. I did not know that stat. And it's like, absolutely. We are a team that has already shown we play down to people's level. We let down. And those teams need to win by eking out some games at the end.
Right.
You're right. I mean, that's 100% going to bite us. And if you look on the screen, we got some team stats. I think this is a little bit useful, at least, to see head-to-head what the averages are. So we average 23.8 versus their 20.9, but we allow 23 versus their 17.
Yeah, so we're
18.
Right now, we're on average, we win a game, but we win the game by 0.4 points.
Yeah. Man, I feel like we don't talk about the defense enough for the Vikings. But do you see this as a squad that's going to get stronger as the year goes on? Are they going to come together and gel, or are we kind of seeing what we see?
I think we're seeing what we see, but I don't know if we know what we're seeing yet. So I do think part of it is that Ed Donatel's playing chess because he almost allows them to take things quarters 1 through 3 and then goes, okay, well, here are all the things that they wanted to do the first 3 quarters. Let's shut those things down. And then it's too late in the game for the offense to make an adjustment, and they can't do anything. So it's an interesting strategy. Like, if you look at the New England game, we were losing going into the fourth quarter, and then we shut down New England for the fourth quarter. Shut them down. They did not score a point, and we end up winning the football game. So is that by design?
Right.
If it is by design, it's a super frustrating design to watch, but as long as it keeps working, I'll keep my mouth shut.
What is his pedigree? Because I've heard his name for sure.
Yeah, so he's been
years.
a defensive guy for 30 years. He was the head coach of the Broncos for a small amount of time there. He's just kind of a 3-4 wizard, and he's super into the bend don't break scheme. I'm not a huge fan of it personally. I'm actually more of a fan of 4-down linemen anyway. But
that's because rooting for bend don't break absolutely sucks shit.
Yep.
I mean,
super
it really
fucking scary to watch too, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've had that in the Vikings. Like, I mean, the teams like Tony Dungy in a way, even for a 4-3 guy, he'd do that cover 2 a lot and stuff. It was, I don't know. Yeah.
If you don't have the pass rushers that Tony Dungy had when the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, it's scary.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
So let's wrap up the Vikings segment. Let us know what you guys think about the Vikings and where they're at. Are they a good team or a great team? And how does the rest of the schedule shake out? I'm going to unfortunately call a very close loss against the Jets this week. Let's go Minnesota Wild now. They've been playing some hockey lately. I don't know if it's good hockey. I don't know if I'd classify it as bad hockey either. It is inconsistent hockey, though.
Yeah.
10-9-2 is where we sit currently. Since the last time we saw you guys, we beat the Hurricanes 2-1, beat the Jets 6-1, and at that point in time, it was the day before Thanksgiving. I was just thinking, hey, if we had a show, I'd be pretty high on the Wild right now. 2 wins in a week, it's pretty good. Only allowed a goal in each game. And then we turn around to Black Friday, we lose to the Leafs 4-3. And I go, okay, well, now we're letting up goals again. Defense isn't consistent.
Yeah.
And then we beat a bad Coyotes team 4-3. Again, that's a good win. They're a bad team, but the amount of goals that we're allowing in, the inconsistency that we're showing, it's just our youth. We're not the team that we were last year. We're way younger. The expectations that were set from our finish last year and the moves that we've made didn't keep us on track to repeat what we did last year, if not improve upon it. To me, we have taken steps back.
I got to take issue with that.
Yeah.
I don't think that you can say that they're not the team they are last year. Yes, they're not playing that way now, currently. But I think that is the fabric of a young team, is that they're fucking up. They're scrambling to come back together. And I guess it just feels too early to say that they're not going to. And I think if they do come back together, they can absolutely eclipse, last year's mark. But no, is that what you're saying?
I will respect that opinion for sure, 100%. We're currently exactly a quarter of the way, or no, a little past a quarter of the way through the season. Right now, we're 21 games in. They play 82. We're sitting at 10-9-2 right now. We're 4th place in our division. So from my understanding, that's on the line of a playoff spot. And if you squeak into the playoffs, you're going to have to go on the road to somebody that's better than you. And I don't know. If we repeat and make the playoffs, we're going to be a first round out again. It's inconsistency pretty much everywhere.
Why do you think they would lose in the first round? Just because they'd
be a last seed. They'd have to play the 1 seed.
I think that's what's exciting about these teams, or about young teams like this, is that the sky's the limit if they do come back. Yeah. If they gel. That's my opinion.
We're the only team in the entire NHL with an even goal differential. We've scored 62. We've allowed 62. So.
No, you just won.
We'll just have
I
to
apologize,
you know
ladies
what?
and
I will
gentlemen.
say this though, Gabe. It's worth keeping an eye on them, right? They're not playing horrible hockey. They're playing great hockey at times. Kirill Kaprizov is still probably the top 5 player in the NHL, and he's super young. He's fun to watch. It's something to keep an eye on.
Who's the rookie that we have who's kind of playing well though too? There's
there's like
the
6
name
of
is
them.
escaping me.
Boldy, Rossi.
Boldy is the one that I'm thinking
Matt
of.
Boldy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got to watch a little bit of it, and yeah, I like it when you can see guys flash on screen.
Yeah.
You know,
That's something that I will say, like, it's kind of nice almost to have a young team because it does seem like the effort level is just higher.
oh fuck yeah, I think it's
You know what I mean?
huge difference. I mean, to watch them get on their toes and sprint, you
Yeah.
know, in little short bursts and stuff like that for sure.
So before we see you guys again, we're actually at home here. We have Edmonton tonight, the Ducks on Saturday, and then we transition into a road stint at Dallas and at Calgary. I'm going to say we go 2-2 over those 4 and pretty much ride out our nice, mediocre 500 season.
I'm gonna say the Rocky music starts playing. We start hearing it in the back of our skulls, and then all of a sudden we go 3-1.
Ooh.
3-1, but it's something to build on.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Like right around Christmas time, you're going, hey, the Wild are actually pretty good again. Is that kind of what you're thinking? Very nice. I'll respect that opinion. I'll respect it. All right. That wraps up our Wild segment. Let us know what you guys think about the Wild. Do you see playoffs in their future? Is my question. I'm skeptical.
You're damn right.
Let's transition over to that other winter sports team. We do have to call them the Minnesota Timberwolves as of right now. They're 500. They're sitting at 11-11. Coming off a nice win over the Grizzlies. Wendell Moore Jr. makes his NBA debut and starts and locks down Ja Morant. Again, though, the problem that I have with this team is inconsistency. Gabe, we allowed 137 points one game, and the next night we allowed 142. Wasn't Rudy Gobert supposed to make us better on defense?
It's like all the Minnesota teams are coached by the same guy. It's like the same thing for all of them.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Is it because there's no high pressure media in this market or whatever that they just, I don't know. It is weird though how consistent that is.
It's going to be interesting over the next month for the Wolves though. Cat is actually out. Big Cat's got an ow.
Huh. He was crying even when he's healthy. So.
Yeah. So calf strain, I believe, is what they're calling it. Possibly 4 to 6 weeks. So my question is, if we start, let's say we win 7 out of 10 games without him, and we show a little bit of toughness, a little bit of grit, do we notice that Cat, even though he's really, really good and very talented at the game of basketball, is maybe not the team player that you want to build a team around? Or does it go the other way? Do we go 300 winning percentage over that month and notice that Cat is the piece? I would be willing to bet that it goes the way of noticing that Cat may not be a franchise player in the NBA.
Yeah, I think he sucks shit.
I won't
That's
go
just
that
my
far.
take
I
on
think
it.
he's extremely talented. He's probably one of the best shooting big men ever. But he doesn't play physical defense. He doesn't rebound. And then he's a big man. So it's interesting, right?
I'm so biased against him, I can't see anything.
Yeah, no worries.
I hate his whiner face. I hate how he looks like he's always crying. I can't stand. I don't know. Man, it's like watching Kirk Cousins play basketball for me.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
We have the worst stars in all of sports. Our market makes me want to cry.
Well, I think there's
Kirby
some
Puckett
tissues
out
back
of the
there.
ground and get him in
geez.
the game.
Oh, jeez. Looking ahead at the Timberwolves week ahead of us, we have Thunder on Saturday. That should be a win, in my opinion, but we'll see. And then the Pacers on Wednesday. If we go 2-0, I think we'd be sitting at a decent spot. We're 13-11. We're going to play the Jazz the next day or the next Friday, and they're slacking since starting extremely hot. You just got to string some wins together, and the schedule is conducive to that a little bit, especially with Cat hurt, because I'm hoping that we don't have to make up a lot of ground when he does come back.
So in using the same Minnesota Wild kind of comparison, where I thought they can come together and like put together a run if they do, I should say. What's this T-Wolves team's prospects?
I mean, when we made the Gobert move, I thought we should be a top 4 to top 5 team in the West. Right now we're sitting at 10th. We did start slow last year. That might be a Chris Finch thing. It might be an Anthony Edwards thing. I don't know what the problem is, but you got to start winning games now, because if you miss the playoffs with Gobert, it's a head scratcher.
Yeah.
Kind of where do you go from there, right? You bought all into this year a little bit, or this 2 or 3 year window, and there goes one of your years. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. Let us know what you guys think about the Minnesota Timberwolves and where they're currently at, sitting at 11-11 and 10th in the West. Let's go Minnesota Twins. There's a couple things we want to touch on with the Twins. We know it's off season. Heck, it's December, for Christ's sake. But there are some rumors, at least that's all I've heard, is that there's rumors that Max Kepler is going to be traded. There's 3 names that I've been seeing as kind of the top 3 possible trades that the Twins could make. That is going to be Emilio Pagan, who was never good for us.
Who gives a shit? Okay.
Max Kepler, who
gives a shit?
Was decent for us until last year, it seemed like. And then it's going to be Gio Urshela. The Gio Urshela and Max Kepler move, in my opinion, is because we have youth behind them that have higher ceilings. So Gio Urshela has Jose Miranda on his heels, trying to get that hot corner away from him. And Gio Urshela has some nice trade value. So maybe we put Kepler and Urshela together in a nice trade combo and go get a pitcher that is an ace.
It's just so uninteresting and unexciting, like the way we go about free agency, Right. It's just such a fucking bummer, man. For a team that was this close, it's like you want to hear them talking about, not only going after a prize free agent, but how about fucking surprise with something good, something aggressive. Where's Buxton's contract at? Is it even possible to fantasize about trading him? And would you trade him?
I don't know how it works with the trade. So he signed a 7-year, $100 million contract.
Naturally.
So he earns a base salary of $15 million.
Well, it's probably about $60 million per game.
What's that?
Would that be about like $60 million per game if you? Not that you missed that many.
Yeah, right. But it seems like it at times, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And he signed that in 2021. So I don't know. I'm sure you could trade him because that's a pretty team-friendly deal, in my opinion. And that's kind of Kepler's deal too. It's very team-friendly. It's affordable, and Kepler's pretty decent. So like a playoff contender would be interested in Kepler as their fourth outfielder. You know what I mean?
Right.
Kepler is probably going to get sold. Buxton, I want to keep because his ceiling is so freaking high, and you're already into him anyway. You might as well just go steer. Let's steer into the skid, folks.
I feel like it's the last time, though, that in a way you can still possibly trade him with the fantasy that he's going to realize that potential, and we all know if he left the Twins, he would realize that potential.
Well,
I have no doubt about it.
Right. So do you let him go?
Yeah, I would, because I think now's the time you can get something for him, and that's simply it. I feel like he's shown us what he is. We know exactly what he is. He's not going to get 50 more hits per year, or 30 more hits, whatever he'd need to be. An actual, genuine middle of the lineup, hang your hat on him.
So you let him go, let's say, to the Red Sox, because you brought them up.
Yep.
He plays 150 games. He hits 35 home runs and bats 300.
Well, we know he won't bat 300. He bats 220.
He did last year.
Yes. What is his lifetime stats?
Well, the
Or
year
what's
prior,
like
in 2021, he batted 306.
How many games?
61. He played 92 last year. So it's sample size wise, it's it's not that
I
much
guess
smaller,
if you combine
right?
those two, so then that's 1
His
year.
career is 244.
Yeah, and I think that's what he is.
Yeah.
And I just, again, I know I'm old school guy here or whatever, but I want to see guys. I want to see middle of the lineup guys be middle of the lineup guys.
Yeah, 290 or higher, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I like him a lot, actually. Like, I'm really not. It's just I don't know how to look at this guy. It feels like we're in a cult if we're sitting there looking at him going, he's going to be great this year. He's going to realize all this potential. It's just, he's shown us already.
Right.
You know, I mean.
No, I hear you.
I mean, he could absolutely execute and do what we all think he can do.
Right.
But boy, at this point, the odds are pretty stacked against that, I would say.
Are the odds higher of Buxton playing 120 games or Adrian Peterson unretiring and coming and playing for the Vikings?
I feel like the Adrian Peterson thing, I've never even heard of that. So is that a possibility?
I think it's a higher possibility of Byron Buxton playing 120 games. And I haven't heard of it either. So that's kind of my point.
I wasn't sure if there's some rumor that I've been missing.
I wish, man. That'd be kind of fun, right?
Well, yeah, I hate AP, but we all know that. So, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's kind of it on the Twins. I don't really want to talk about the new uniforms, Gabe. They're ugly to me. I don't like them.
The one that Buxton's in? So,
yeah, those are all new. Those are all brand new.
The one that, is that Arias on the far right?
Oh, looking like he's playing for the Kansas City Royals? Yeah, it is.
Okay, I do like that.
Does that not look like the Royals,
yes, though? 100%. I hate if that fucking hat gets red behind, if that's a front panel where it's blue and then it's red behind it, you know, like the old Expos hats.
The Arias one?
I'm fucking pissed. Yeah.
I think it's blue the whole way.
Then what's that with that red piping? Do you see that?
I can't make it out.
This is going to fucking enrage me if that's what it is. I hate that shit.
Here, I can try to find a picture.
I'm looking it up too. That's fine. But yeah, it's you want to make us look like what are those guys with the propeller on their hats? Fucking morons. I don't know. That's what they look like, I guess, to me.
Sure.
But yeah. No.
I don't like them. To me, they seem like a modern, like AAA ball club.
You know what it looks like? It looks like when you go to TJ Maxx and buy a Twins jersey or something like that. Like it's just got that little bit of like, it looks like a Twins jersey, but there's something kind of fucked up about it.
It looks like a random company in China made our knockoff jerseys this year. Yeah. Let's just say what it is, right? They're knockoffs.
I don't mind. Like, it's weird, though, because I was
like the Nike swoosh is actually going the wrong way, like weirdly, like stuff like that, right?
The what?
No, I'm just, like when you actually get like knockoff jerseys, the Nike swoosh is like the wrong way, or they'll say like NLF instead of NFL. Have you ever seen those?
But hang on, you actually have hit on something here. Look at the slash under the Twins thing. Isn't that fucking backwards? It was always facing the other way. Like it gets big where it says Twins, not. It is fucking backwards, I think.
Yeah, we have Twins jerseys. I might have to take a peek at them. So
dude,
it's bigger under the W always.
What's that?
It is bigger under the W and then gets smaller towards the end.
Oh,
so
okay.
That's right. That's right.
That is right?
Yeah. Because they underline win.
Oh, because it comes off the bottom of the S.
Yeah.
Okay. You're fucking me up with your backwards thing. Yeah. So when you said that, I went.
No worries.
I can't believe, though, I got to say, the Buxton one is growing on me a little bit.
The Buxton one's the only one I think is even acceptable.
Yes. I hate the other two. And then the one that Arias is in, I might like that if you see it, but you're right. It looks like the Royals.
I like it, but it looks just like the Royals, which is a division foe, which you can't make a uniform look just like a division opponent.
Well, it might make them mad that we're like taking their shit.
Well, whatever. Let's take a World Series ring from them if we're taking their shit.
Yeah.
Polanco's in.
Actually, dude, the blue looks fucking awesome. But yeah, it
again,
looks like we're
like
the Royals.
It, but it's too Royals-like.
It is.
That's my second favorite, and it would be my favorite if it didn't look just like the Royals.
Yeah.
And the one that Polanco's in on the far left, that has piping or pinstripes. And And like to me,
I just hate that fucking.
That seems like a Red Sox alternate.
Get a fucking gay guy in here and have him design the uniform so they look good.
I think they did.
I don't think so, man. No gay guy would do that. They're too fucking taste. They have too much taste.
Alrighty, well, let us know what you guys think about the Twins' new uniforms. I'm not a fan. Maybe I'm getting old. Let me know. Am I just the dad of the show now? Gabe
I would say
are
it's
just
shorts,
the dads of the shows.
Shorts and a collar.
Yeah, is that right? The long sleeves. We want to go back to long sleeves and a collar.
Yes,
I'm cool with it. Let's do it.
Why not?
No batting helmets allowed this year.
Yeah.
I did forget one thing that Nick wanted to talk about with the Vikings. So let's just circle back, Gabe, because you'll enjoy this. Patrick Peterson came out and said that Kyler Murray is only worried about himself. He came out and said that Kyler Murray just worries about only worried about Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray clapped back and basically just said, like, hey, this is like weird coming from you. Why don't you talk to me about it and not just try to blow up your podcast? And it's just, to me, like Nick sent it to me, my first reaction was like, oh, wow, 2 children bickering over social media. Interesting. Like, that's what it strikes me as. Like, first of all, why would Patrick Peterson, a grown-ass man, go out of his way to bash another team's quarterback?
That's what I was going to say. I was like, I think this is a bad look on Patrick Peterson.
If anything, yeah, 100%. And it's a bad look on Kyler because it sounds off more on the soundboard that Kyler Murray is a child that likes to play Call of Duty, that isn't a professional in anything that he does.
What is Patrick Peterson? So, like, what is his insight on this, though? Does he have something? Well, he played
for the Cardinals before us.
I mean, was it last? But that was 2 years ago, right?
2 or 3, but he played alongside Kyler.
Yeah, but it was 2 years ago, and Kyler's been in the league, what, 5 years?
Yeah, I want to say 4 or 5. This probably is 4th, I think.
I don't know. That just seems fucking weird to me. That it's like, okay,
super weird and like, random, like out of nowhere. And like to me, like, let me ask you this: what would, if they had Twitter the way that we have Twitter and stuff now? Would Tom Brady have said anything back? Would Peyton Manning have said anything back? Would Joe Montana? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like perennial quarterbacks would have just ignored that noise.
I'm not mad about his response, only because I think that he did it in a classy way that makes Patrick Peterson look worse.
Sure.
Which is just, hey, man, you can always talk to me about that.
Instead of blow up your podcast. I think that was a dig, though.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could say that. I guess I think they're just so much more media inclined now than what they were back in the day.
Sure.
Because even you look back at people like Jim Kelly, who I see as this very vanilla, does the right thing quarterback. And if you look back at it, he was, drinking beers and like wearing sunglasses, trying to get chicks back in those days too.
Yeah.
So
100%.
I don't know, but Patrick Peterson, I don't know where the fuck your head's at.
Yeah, that was weird.
Can you imagine if you and I didn't see you now for another 2 years, and then you hear me on a podcast going, yeah, boy, that Mike Mensing's work ethic, man. Right. It's just like, it'd be like, what?
I'd be like, okay.
Right. I mean, you haven't seen me in 2 years. Like, people change, especially when you're young.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and like out of sight, out of mind, right? So like, something happened to prompt that?
Oh yeah, that's like,
it was weird.
That's like you fucked, someone that he fucked.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can put that. Yeah.
Weird thing. So Nick, there you go, bud. Go ahead and blow that up because I don't know what you wanted out of that. That's
I want
to
hear what he thinks.
Yeah,
comment if you can. I know he's working, but yeah.
Let's go into our freshman midterm segment. So, Gabe, we have 5 NFL head coaches that are in their first year coaching. We're gonna just kind of take a look at where their teams are currently, what their potential might be, because it is just halfway through their first year, and then what might be their biggest weakness moving forward.
Okay.
So we're actually going to kick off with Kevin O'Connell. He is definitely one of those player coaches that you were bringing up earlier in the show. Currently, his team is sitting at 9-2. I think he has potential to become one of the best Viking coaches we've seen, up there with Bud Grant, in my opinion. To me, it goes Bud Grant, probably Denny Green, Mike Zimmer, and then it's just you could put Jerry Burns at that point if you wanted to. Jerry Burns might even eclipse Mike Zimmer, now that I think about it, but that's kind of the probably the top 3.
Where'd you put Denny Green?
2.
Okay, yeah.
Behind Bud. Is that fair?
Okay. Well, why is he behind Bud? Like, what did Bud do? Got us 2 Super Bowls.
Got us to 4 of them. Denny
he got to all 4?
Yeah, Denny didn't get to any.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
I'm pretty sure he got to all 4.
He's easily number 1.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I just didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm almost positive. And then Denny, his high point would be that 98 NFC Championship game. Or if you want to say the 2000 NFC Championship game.
What a slap in the face to Mike Tice. And Mike Tice maniacs all over.
Oh, yeah. Brad Childress is really crying over what I'm saying today, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, our coaching, well, Dungy.
But he was never our head coach, right?
Right, and also he never achieved
We had Brian Billick in-house.
Yeah.
And he went on to win a Super Bowl. We had Tony Dungy in-house, went on to win a Super Bowl. We had Mike Tomlin in-house, went on to win a Super Bowl. What are we doing? But I do think that this hire, I think KOC could go down as probably a top 3 coach in that realm of Bud Grant, Denny Green. I think he's going to continuously think outside the box. I do like how he plays chess, and it may be extremely frustrating as a Vikings fan, but we do excel typically when the game matters most, defensively and offensively. They're waiting to play that move that they know will be successful.
I feel like he's going to show us a lot very early, right? Like whether whatever, like, how insane, by the way, that this guy is, 10 weeks into his first season, and that you're even, bringing up that he has a potential to be.
Well, to me, I look at
on the Mount Rushmore. That's impressive.
Yeah. I think Mike Zimmer was a good NFL coach. I don't think he was a great NFL coach, but I think Mike Zimmer was a good NFL coach. And the roster itself is very similar to last year. And Zimmer went less than 500 and missed the playoffs.
But I think
KOC already has more wins than Zimmer had last year, Gabe.
No, hey, I'm not denying that. What I'm saying is, the way you're talking about KOC right now, I believe that after Zimmer's second year, for instance, you'd be maybe even higher.
Sure.
Because of that whatever the gap. What was his defense called? Like, what was it called?
Like it was the double A gap.
Double A gap defense.
Yeah.
Man, that was so fucking awesome watching that those first couple of years. Like, he looked like he was just heads and shoulders above so many coaches. And then all of a sudden it just kind of, I don't know, it's like being in a relationship, it's just.
So I think that's KOC's strength, actually, and we'll just touch on this and then we'll go to his weakness. His strength is noticing, okay, this isn't working anymore.
Making adjustments.
And switching. Mm-hmm. Zimmer was a little too old-headed and stubborn and said, no, this is the defense we're running, run it right, instead of, you can't run it right, you don't have the ability to run it right. We need to switch and have you drop into this zone instead, or whatever it may be. He was intolerant to change. And I think that's KOC's strength. KOC's weakness is he is so tight with the players that if you start to lose ball games, I think he'll lose that locker room.
100,000%. What I was going to say is what his weakness is, it's weakness.
Yeah.
Like, it's just that, right, there are times, if you're ever leading a group of men, that you got to be able to be fucking tough, right?
Right.
I mean, at least you got to have that potential. And I don't know shit about him, obviously. I don't want to act like I do, but it sure doesn't feel that way.
Right.
Like he's got that gear. And
no, I would agree.
Interesting.
I would agree 100% with you.
Yeah, and in fact, whenever we have time, I've got a nice illustration of some of the things that will be missing in this new era of coaches. But we can do it at the end of this.
All right.
If you like.
Well, let's switch over to an AFC coach. Then we have Josh McDaniels next. Now, Josh McDaniels is head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are currently sitting at 4-7. A very underwhelming season, and if it weren't for the Denver Broncos in their same division, it would probably be the most underwhelming team in that division. The AFC West was supposed to be this gauntlet. All the teams were supposed to be vying for first place in the division. It's just not the case. Chiefs are running away with it like every other year. The Raiders...
The Raiders quarterback is crying.
Yeah, I don't know if I haven't been watching Raiders games close enough to know if it's Derek Carr or if it's Josh McDaniels, because I believe that Derek Carr is a decent NFL quarterback. I really do. and I think he has good weapons around him, Darren Waller and Devontae Adams. I personally think Josh McDaniels is not a head coach in the NFL.
Well, I'll tell you this. Derek Carr thinks it's Derek Carr's fault.
Really?
Because he's crying at a fucking press conference. Did you see
I did
that?
not see that.
Literally crying during his press conference, like in an apologetic, like he was so disappointed, so crushed. So no matter what you think about Josh McDaniel, he's definitely not taking pressure off of his quarterback in that situation.
Wow.
So that's very telling to me. His wife is really hot. That's a plus.
His head coaching record, so he's been a head coach before.
Mm-hmm.
His career head coaching record is 15-24. And he's a Belichick disciple. I personally think he is capped at a coordinator.
Well, didn't he sort of kind of make his own rules for himself with Belichick too? Like, I mean, he had some carte blanche with him, is my understanding too. That
Yeah,
he had a little more independence.
Well, they've gone back and forth, right? So they had like a little bit of a falling out. He left and became a head coach, did very poorly, went back like a kid returning back home after not being able to afford rent. And Bill let him in and allowed him to coach again, became the coordinator again, did well. A lot of people thought, okay, this is kind of going to be Bill's team until it's not, and then it's going to be Josh's team. He doesn't want that, which is interesting because then he goes and tries to run the Raiders in the Patriot way. And if any team in the NFL isn't going to be ran the Patriot way, it's the Raiders.
Well, hold on here. I got to step in and
Yeah.
defend this guy because he's an offensive coach.
Yep.
They gave him no weapons.
What?
Yeah, all they have is Devontae Adams.
They have
They've
Darren
got
Waller.
Derek
They have
Carr,
Hunter
Waller,
Renfro.
yeah.
They have Josh Jacobs.
Wait a second. Hold on a minute. Wait a second. He's got an ideal scenario.
That's what I'm saying, and they're 4-7.
I know. I'm fucking joking.
Okay, good.
Yes, that's it's a fucking joke. Exactly.
His weakness is he can't coach. He's a coordinator at minimum, and the side of the football that he should be coordinating isn't excelling under him. So
you left a situation into an ideal situation, and it has fallen on its face. Your quarterback, again, let me mention one more time, is crying at a press conference. It's not going well.
No, and
you got to wonder how much time he's got left.
I think he should be on the hot seat immediately, if not already.
I'm going to Google right now to see if he's been fired because of my commentary. He should have been.
So he, in my opinion, would not be a player's coach, by the way. Going back to what we were talking about.
Oh, really?
He would not be. He is not a guy who's going to be like dapping up with players.
Oh, see, I thought he was a player's coach, but was an egomaniac.
He's a little bit of a
well.
Bill Belichick disciple in that way.
Oh, do you understand what I'm saying, though? Is that he is, but he's such a narcissist that, he can't.
He is because he knows he should be, not because he actually is.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, he's trying to be that, but he's not.
Yeah.
Is what I'm going to say.
I mean, just look at the face of that guy. I don't want to go shake his hand and be like, what's up, coach?
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, all right, fuck this dude.
He just feels like someone who had a pretty easy walk through life. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's how he feels to me, at least.
So from one McDaniels to the next McDaniels, let's switch over to Mike McDaniels in Miami. This guy is probably the epitome of a player's coach. Was talking to his quarterback on the sideline recently and goes, I saw your high school tape. You sucked. Like in the middle of a game, just cracking jokes with his QB1, Dolphins' current record, I want to say, is 7-4. Let me confirm that really quick. Sorry.
And same thing.
8-3 and leading the AFC East.
And I've got the same thing as him with O'Connell, right? Like, I mean, they're the same thing, like in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, they went 9-8 last year, right? Mm-hmm. Already have 8 wins this year. I think it's the coach, it's the culture, we can have fun while working our asses off. I think his weaknesses are also the very same as KOC's. You start losing games, it's tough to go to authoritarian figure if you don't have that in you at all. And I don't really see that trait in KOC. I don't see KOC being able to look Dalvin Cook in the face and go, hold on to the fucking football.
You're right.
if he fumbles. You know what I mean?
Do either of these guys or both these guys potentially? Because I would almost think it'd be a condition of their hiring that they have a coordinator or whatever who's a truly deeply experienced. Who is that guy? Who is it?
Yeah. So I know
bulldog.
KOC does. The defense coordinators at Donatel, who is 65 and has been in the league for 30 years, can definitely be that guy.
He's a bulldog, though, too?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And Mike Pettin is our basically assistant head coach, and that's his role. And he is a guy who's been a head coach before. He's probably mid-50s. Very similar. Mike Pettin.
Mike Pettin.
Yep.
Lead singer of Mr. Bungle? No.
No, it's Mike Pettin. He was the head coach of the Browns for a while. He was with the Packers.
Okay.
He's a defensive guy. He's 56 years old. He's a defensive, hard-nosed guy. He's bald with a goatee. You know, he's just kind of one of those, like, he's a bulldog for sure. And his job is assistant head coach.
I wonder, like, truly if that's something that is sort of known in that locker room, that it's, you know, like if they're cultivating that now, that dynamic, if they get up and talk in between things, you know, if they're kind of looking ahead in that way, I guess. Yeah. You know, I would think these guys are such eggheads that they probably do, you know, like they are that sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I just looked up the Dolphins. The one name that sticks out to me for the Dolphins, quarterbacks and passing game coordinator, is Darryl Bevell, who's a guy who's been with the Vikings before.
Yes, of course.
Who's their defensive coordinator? Josh Boyer. So I don't know who their defense coordinator is. Looks like a really young guy, Josh Boyer. So I don't see a whole lot of experience in that locker room, period. But they're winning football games right now. It's just going to get tough if you start to lose. If you lose 2 in a row, it's probably done in Miami. The experiment is over. I mean, like, that's what it could be. It's such a slippery slope. That culture is so great when things are going great. Right?
It's easy.
Right.
Everything's easy. You're right with everything. I mean, let me ask you this, as a guy you've been in a lot of football locker rooms at higher levels. When does the age of your coach become an issue too? Like, I mean, how much younger of a guy are you willing to have coach you? Like, what's realistic for that, do you think? You know, I don't know how old this guy is. I'm just saying he looks like he's 35.
Personally, it's knowledge. It's knowledge-based that I respect more than anything. My first collegiate head coach at St. Scholastica was 65, and I respected the hell out of that guy. Coach Carlson, he was a arena coach for a while. I mean, he started a college football program from literally nothing, from scratch, made the uniforms himself, 4 years later won a conference title. Like, he knew what he was doing the whole way through. He had a plan. My second head coach, once he left, though, was this 45-year-old dude who refused to wear shoes at times. Yes.
Okay.
So the culture shift itself made me just, like, a little uneasy. There's things said about where this coach, like, played football, too, and, like, how they're a little bit softer, a little bit more white-collar.
I mean, absolutely.
You know, and that's what rubbed me the wrong way. It wasn't the age of the coach itself. I mean, dude, I've been 19 years old coaching a 19U baseball team that I could have played on with players that I graduated high school with, and we went undefeated.
And I can see that, but you guys went undefeated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, what would have happened when they really piss you off and drop a bad game and you...
So here's the ending to the story, Gabe. Our first round of playoffs, we're the 1 seed in the entire state of Minnesota. We play like the 8 seed Champlin Park. We're up 8-0 in the 4th inning. And my assistant coach comes up to me and goes, I don't feel good about this one. I was like, you know, it's weird. We're up 8-0. I don't feel good about it either. And I've never seen so many seeing eye ground balls. We ended up losing the game 19-8.
And it was all your fault.
And it was all my fault.
You should have done something.
I guess so. Maybe I should have lost the regular season game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know about youth of the coach itself. I think it's who the coach is and how they handle themselves and their knowledge. It's who the person is more than the age.
Okay, true. But here's the thing. We know as older people. Well, I'm older. How old are you?
29.
29. Okay, so you're just getting to be where you're going to be old enough where you will look back and go, the idea of you taking any notes from a 24-year-old, like, they just haven't had enough life to, like, it's not even their fault. They can be brilliant. There's something about gravitas and experience and whatever that's just hard to replace. But whatever. I'm not saying that they're doing great with it.
I think it comes from experience, but you can make your own experience, right? I'm the youngest coach on our varsity staff that has their own position group. Realistically, like, there's some guys that are like recent graduates that come back and like help as assistants. But I've been coaching since I was a sophomore in high school. I was an offensive coordinator of a middle school team when I was a sophomore in high school. So that experience is just like built in on layers that most people don't do, right? And if Mike McDaniels has been an offensive control guy for 4 years when he was in his early 20s, then
what is offensive control?
Making sure that like you're the guy who gets to watch all the film and look at how a play should be ran. So the right tackle needs to step with his right foot on this play. Does his first step go with his right foot? So if anything is missed in like the film room of the offensive line or anything, you're basically supplying those notes and like controlling.
You're like assistant offensive coordinator.
You're like the quality control guy for the team, right? It's a super extensive job, and dude, you learn a lot.
There is
you learn where the shoulder should go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a YouTube video that I have in my watch later list that's about him and his actual coaching X's and O's. Yeah. That apparently he's really doing something different. I'm not aware of what it is. Do you know what he does that's supposed to be so special?
I know the big thing that they're doing in Miami right now. So they have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill.
Yes,
two of the fastest receivers in the entire NFL. He puts them both on the same side a lot.
Really?
Yeah. And that's something different, right? Because what he's doing is actually very similar to what the Tennessee Volunteers are doing in the college game right now. And Tennessee's entire pass game revolves around this scheme where we're going to have basically two receivers stacked on top of each other. One of them's going to go deep, but you don't know which one. And then the other one is going to break off either in or out at a certain depth point, dependent on the coverage.
Sure.
So it's all read-based and everything. It's really, really, really difficult to stop because they're reading you and then just doing things off of that.
Interesting, too, because, you would just think you have the two, burners like that. It's just so natural to go, well, we're going to spread the field like crazy. And
but he stacks them and puts them on the same side. It's interesting.
I like it. Yeah.
We got to keep going, though. Yes, we're running a little behind. Let's go Brian Dable, New York Giants. This is a little bit older coach than the KOCs or Mike McDaniels. He was the offensive coordinator for the Bills last year. With Josh Allen, and he is leading the New York Football Giants to one of their better years in a while. They're sitting at 7-4. Last year, Gabe, they won 4 games.
Okay.
All of last year, they won 4 games. He's already sitting at 7-4 this year. Roster hasn't improved that much, I don't think. So is it the coach? I think it is. They're winning tight games. They've gotten a little bit of luck. Maybe a missed field goal by the opponent here or there.
He was the first. He was not the coach. This is his first
year.
Was he on staff last year?
No. He was offense coordinator for the Bills last year.
Okay. Well, what the fuck? I guess you got to say,
He's almost doubled their win total, and the season's not even done.
Well, I just that is kind of crazy that all these young coaches are doing this. It just makes me want to do a deep roster dive on all these guys to see what truly is the difference. You know what I mean? To even really get, it'd be interesting to see the percentages in their roster change between each one.
Yeah, I think it goes to show that culture and scheme are a huge part of the NFL.
But culture and scheme, it could also be just fresh start shit and momentum. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, this league is so fucking weird with the trends. Right? That it's just like these trends catch fire and they work.
Yeah.
And it's apparently that's is he an offensive guy in the same way? Must be coming from the Bills.
He is an offensive guy in the same way. I think his weakness is the quarterback position, though.
I think his weakness is a Philly cheesesteak. My God.
That may be, especially, because Philly's a division rival for them. But I think going from having a quarterback like Josh Allen that you could count on in moments, especially late in the year when you're going for a playoff spot, is going to be way different than counting on a quarterback like Daniel Jones. I think that is going to be Brian Dable's weakness, and he's not going to be able to figure out ways to make Daniel Jones look like Josh Allen because that's extremely difficult to do. And I think that is his weakness, is his offense needs that type of a quarterback, and he doesn't have it.
Daniel Jones is a yellow baby shit soft name.
Yeah, and guess where he went to college?
Yellow baby shit you.
Duke.
Duke, yeah.
So pretty dead on with that guess, huh? In my opinion. And then the last one here, Gabe, is going to be Matt Eberflus.
Oh, don't get me started on Eberflus.
Matt Eberflus is, if Kirk Cousins is a bowl of ranch, Matt Eberflus is a bowl of, I can't believe it's not butter.
Ooh. Shots fired.
Something I would never want to put on my Thanksgiving plate is this guy right here. He's not a player's coach. He's not really an authoritarian. I'm pretty sure he got pulled out of the third row when he was a coach for the Colts. He is a children. Yeah.
He's from that philosophy or mindset. Like, I want to be me, and I want to be a real asshole to the players and be a dick, but I'm kind of a pussy. I'm visually a pussy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's going to take you seriously as a dick, but that's all you have in your bag.
Yes.
Is to be a dick.
The best. Yeah. Sorry.
It's just terrible, right? The Bears are 3-9. They're fucking awful. They're a dumpster fire. It doesn't help that Ryan Poles just traded away some of their best defensive talent. Last year, they won 6 games. Bringing a new head coach, new GM. They're not on pace to win that many games.
It's interesting that how many guys, like, okay, I can look at him, just like Brad Childress, which actually one of his real strengths, I thought, was that he looked like the BTK killer.
Okay, sure. I see that. Yep.
So I think that might have helped for intimidation, possibly. But other than that, I just couldn't stand his tenure. And this guy has that exact vibe. Like, truly, you just look at, like, negative charisma. Why do these owners think it doesn't matter to have someone who inspires or who can...
It's interesting, isn't it?
It is.
So if you look at the 5 that we really looked through, I would say 3 of them are definitely more player-coach-esque, and those are going to be the most successful 3 that we've seen. That's going to be KOC, Mike McDaniels, and Brian Daboll. The 2 that don't connect with their players, Josh McDaniels and Matt Eberflus, are struggling. Is there a starts with a C? Is there a correlation to a head coach being able to connect with his players and win football games? And I know you have something you want to show. So
yeah.
I think now would be
why don't you talk about your point? And that's just because I am actually queuing it up right now while you're doing this. But yeah, I guess I don't know how.
I personally think there is definitely a correlation between coaches being able to connect with their players, and it doesn't necessarily have to be player coach to player. I mean, you look at Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy wasn't necessarily a player's coach. He wasn't an authoritarian either because he never yelled.
Yes.
But he knew how to get the most out of his players.
Wouldn't you say that though, if we, I don't know, go there, would that be Dungy's downfall, though, in a sense, that like his toughness?
I think Dungy's downfall, to be honest with you, was he wasn't able to build teams. He wasn't able to actually build teams and put teams together. When he won it in Tampa, it was Gruden's. No, actually, Dungy didn't win it in Tampa. Gruden did.
I think
Gruden won it with Dungy's team. Yeah, that's right.
He built it.
That's right.
So it kind of blows your whole thing.
It does. And then he built Indy. That's my fault.
No, that's fine. What I was going to say...
Tony Dungy is the greatest coach ever, I guess. That's where I'll go with that now.
No, so that is... My point is sort of... I do believe that this was his problem, is that when it did kind of go sideways, yeah, everyone liked him, so no one talked shit and all that stuff, but that you got to be able to fucking assert yourself at a certain point. It does... It can charge your team up. It can keep... people... To me, the best ideal coach is someone who can... So, I mean, really, Belichick put himself in a good spot, right? He was a authoritarian. He was a dick. Now he's in this position where he's won so long that he kind of like has a weird likability, kind of thing. But I guess what I'm trying to say is you got to be able to do it all to some degree. If you really want to be great, you got to be able to inspire.
And actually, it's coming out now that Belichick has been able to do it all along. It's just been under wraps. Like there's a pretty famous video that I've seen go around just recently even, that when Cam Newton was in New England, Cam Newton held like a holiday party and it was Randy Moss. Randy Moss held a holiday party in New England when he was playing for the Patriots and invited Bill Belichick. He's like, hey, we're going to rent out a roller rink. Everybody's going to dress up. And Belichick goes, it really is a great holiday, isn't it? And he came dressed up as a pirate to Randy Moss's holiday party.
No shit.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And I mean, really, I think that's what it is. So I was watching a thing that made me think about KOC. It made me think about just the nature of coaching today. Like, hey, I'm a Chicago Cubs fan. We had Joe Madden, who helped us win the World Series. He is kind of the epitome of a player's coach, right?
Yep.
Now, I give him a little extra credit in that he's big into psychology. So, like, there is a method to what he's doing, and I think he could assert himself when he needed to.
Sure.
And I worry about these young coaches not being able to really be tough and be the face for their team. Last night I was watching a YouTube video from a channel called Stark Raving Sports, and they do a lot of like sports docs. And I don't watch a ton of their stuff, but man, I was reminded of the way that these authoritarian coaches could be that bulldog for their team, how they can inspire them, how they can set the tone, and it makes me sad to think that things like we're about to watch are not like. Will they be a relic of the past? There will always be trends. You'll have little guys kind of come forward, like, oh, okay, he's a little authoritarian. But wait till you hear this. So this was a documentary on a guy named Dirty Kurt Bevacqua.
Okay.
Bevacqua. He was a journeyman utility infielder in the late 70s, early 80s. Lifetime 130 hitter or whatever, as you'll hear. And he ran afoul of Tommy Lasorda. Tommy Lasorda is a great example of a guy who could ride the line. He could be tough, and he could be a player's coach, right? So anyway, just enjoy this clip and try not to cry because we won't get more of this in the future.
All right.
So here we go.
A 400-foot distance by teammate Terry Kennedy. I'll do anything for charity, he was later quoted, or to get my name in the paper. In his first year back with the Padres, Kurt found himself on one end of a verbal feud with LA manager Tommy Lasorda. In a late June game between the clubs, Dodgers pitcher Tom Niedenfuer gave up a home run to lead off the ninth, only to hit Joe Lefevre with the very next pitch. Niedenfuer was handed a $500 fine for the intentional hit, but Kurt was of the opinion that, quote, they ought to find that fat little Italian too. He ordered it. Tommy Lasorda didn't appreciate this comment, to say the least.
Tell you what I think about it. I think that is very, very bad for that man to make an accusation like that. That is terrible. I have never, ever, since I've managed, ever told a pitcher to throw at anybody, nor will I ever. And if I ever did, I certainly wouldn't make him throw at a 130 hitter. Like Lefebvre or Bevacqua, who could hit water if he fell out of a boat.
Love it. I love it.
I guarantee you this. When I pitched, and I was going to pitch against a team that had guys on it like Bevacqua, I sent a limousine to get the to make sure he was in the mother lineup because I kicked that any day in a week. He's a fucking mother big mouth, I'll tell you that.
For three years, Kurt Bevacqua played a consistent utility role.
He started so nice. He started so politically correct. The first two lines were so scripted, and then he just went off.
It's truly some of the most brilliant comedy I've ever seen in my life. Exactly how he played that is so fucking brilliant. But just throwing it, talk about something that you wouldn't hear KOC say, right?
Dude, it does remind me of Jerry Burns, though, in that one specific press conference that's pretty famous.
I think that is the one that I've got right here.
Yeah.
If you care to see that as well.
We can.
I think it's fun.
I'm going to breeze through the key games. I have a question to ask you about the World Cup, and we're kind of wrapping up anyway. So.
Okay, cool. Well, here we go. So this is a Jerry Burns one because I wanted a little local flavor.
Yeah, this is hilarious.
Almost never. Well, don't tell that to Minnesota Vikings coach.
Look at him. He looks just pissed. Crotchety.
Yeah, and this is in a win.
Back in the 1999 season, Burns was very grumpy and in no mood to celebrate. Burns came to the defensive coordinator Bob Schnelker in an expletive-filled rant. And he called out running back Alfred Anderson for losing his shoe during the game, which forced the team to call a timeout.
His foot was shoe was coming up the line. We take timeout. We had a trap play called, and his shoe comes off.
Look, Jerry, we understand that coaching a professional football team is very stressful. But can you just be happy about a win there? No need to be so worked up running back losing his shoe. Number two, Dennis Green. The Bears are who we thought they were.
I think that is the...
I thought that there were... I'm sorry. I actually thought I had more of that one.
If you want to see something funny and go back to Vikings lore a little bit, look up that press conference by Jerry Burns. It's very well done. I miss coaches like that a little bit, but I don't know if they would work in today's game, Gabe.
I don't know either, but I do think that you need aspects of it. And I think that, now that as we talk about it, I'm glad we talk, because I feel like the future will be that these guys all have a dude on staff. The dinosaur who's respected, who sort of has that grit. Maybe they can't be head coaches anymore. Yeah. But maybe there's always a role for them. Yeah. Somewhere. But yeah.
Alrighty. So we're gonna go 60 seconds through the NFL key games. We have Washington at New York Giants in a divisional game. Washington, I believe, is 7-5. New York is 7-4. Big game for playoff seeding here. I'm actually going to take Washington. I like Taylor Heineke. I think they're a little bit more consistent in what they do. The Giants scare me. The Giants have lost 2 games. They won a couple games early in the season with luck. If I can't say it any more plain, they should be a 5-win team. I'm going to take Washington in this one. I got Miami at San Francisco. This is a San Francisco game that would really show who the Niners are, and I think it's going to be a game that does just that. I think the Niners are going to shut down Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I'm going to say Niners win by 3 there. I have Kansas City at Cincinnati. I am going to go Chiefs, just show that they are the dominant team in the AFC here. Cincinnati is definitely up there, obviously played in the Super Bowl last year. I think the Chiefs are just that team to beat, and I'm going to say Chiefs all game long in that one. Anything to say about those 3 matchups, Gabe?
Negative.
Perfect. We'll move right along. Let us know what you guys think about those key games coming up this Sunday. So, Gabe, World Cup soccer.
Yes, can't get enough of it. I actually do enjoy it a little bit.
I actually do enjoy it, too. The more and more I've learned about soccer, the more and more I've enjoyed it.
I just got to watch it. Now, can you actually watch their games, unlike the NFL and Major League Baseball?
I've found it on Peacock, but it's Spanish broadcasting. Thus far.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but I have found the game being able to watch. So I did watch a little bit of the Iran game. The Iran game.
You had it, yeah. Iran.
1-0 was the win to get us into the knockout stage. So now there's going to be 16 teams left. I think that starts on the 3rd or 4th. Belgium, the number 2 team in the entire world, has actually fallen and won't be in the knockdown stage. So that just makes it a little bit easier if the U.S. want to progress through. We're going to play Netherlands in our first game. Netherlands is a beatable team. They're a good team, but a beatable team. It's the midfield. It's like the line of scrimmage in American football, right? So can we control the middle of the field is going to be the story of that game. The question and line of questioning I have for you, Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to bring you down the little rabbit hole here. So just kind of follow me.
Will do. Anywhere I'd follow.
How many were you at all excited when the Minnesota Lynx won the WNBA championship?
Get the fuck out of my studio right now. Why would you even? What have I ever done to make you think I'd be interested in that?
So were you at all excited when they had won 3 of 4 and they were just like the WNBA team to beat? And I know it's WNBA. I get it.
No,
not at all. Right.
Right.
Okay.
Didn't even know what happened.
So how about when the St. Paul Saints won their minor league championship 2 years ago?
Didn't know that happened either.
Didn't know it happened. I'm trying to think. What would it mean to you then if the U.S. won the World Cup?
I would absolutely. I think like a lot of fake fans is that I would start watching as soon as I heard they're in the final.
Okay.
Or whatever, maybe the game before the final.
Sure.
And I would absolutely get way into that. And
you would celebrate it like you've watched it the whole time.
Absolutely, I would.
Okay.
Yes.
Would you trade one World Cup for a Cubs World Series appearance?
Oh, hell no.
No.
Hold on, trade a world like
a
I'd
World
rather
Cup
have the
title.
Cubs I'd rather have the Cubs be in the World Series any day.
For sure. Would you trade? How about would you trade 2 World Cup wins for a Cubs World Series appearance?
0. I wouldn't trade them for. Now, if you're talking,
You would
like
trade them, is what you're saying, right? So the Cubs appear in the World Series.
Yep.
Or we win the World Cup. You would take the World Cup?
If you no. If you say playoffs, even if you say the Cubs can go to the playoffs, lose the first round, or we can win the World Cup, I would choose the playoffs for the Cubs.
All right.
However, it is a tougher decision with the playoffs if it's a one and done kind of thing.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So that's kind of was my line of questioning. I was going to say, like, I thought it would be funny, like, how many WNBA championships would the Lynx have to win for you to care enough as much as, like, the U.S. winning a World Cup?
Wow. I don't think it's
140 in a row.
Let me try to think of what it would take for them. Like,
for you to be like, wow, the Lynx are actually amazing. Like, if they won every game for X amount of years, how many would it take you to maybe actually buy tickets and go to a game?
Here's a worse question that's going to make me sound like a monster. Okay? Would I rather have the Lynx win the WNBA championship or a local Minneapolis high school girls team win the state championship? Or my hometown Detroit Laker girls basketball team? I would choose the Detroit Laker girls basketball team. That would mean more to me than the Lynx.
Would a Detroit Lakers girls basketball team state championship mean more to you than a U.S. World Cup win?
No.
I
like the World Cup more than girls high school basketball.
All right,
yes.
So we have found the line. All right.
Wow. Thanks,
so now,
Mike.
How many championships in a row would it take for Detroit Lakes for you to be like, all right, I'll take that over the World Cup? You see, so the point I'm trying to prove is like, I've noticed this as I've kind of gotten more into the soccer world as well. This means so much more for everybody else.
Yes.
That I think our men are at a disadvantage because of it.
I saw a lot of, for the Iran game.
Yeah.
I saw somebody, I couldn't tell if it was our players crying or theirs.
Theirs
there was a lot of tears on the field.
Theirs were. And we
well, they have good reason.
Yeah. And we embraced them, and actually we're pretty good sports about it.
Well, of course, we're good sports about it. No one cares.
Right. But it's just interesting as we watch this unfold. That's where a lot of people are, man. I think a lot of people would rather have their high school do well in a sport than watch the U.S. men's national team succeed on a world stage, which is funny because every country else,
they live and die for it.
They live and die for this, what we're in right now. So,
I mean, honestly, man, I would love to put that on a graphic and put that out as a social media thing. Yeah. I mean, we should do a direct or even a couple, but I love it. I think that's a fascinating fucking question, and it puts it perfectly in perspective.
Right.
Yeah. No doubt about it, man.
That's our show for today. Thank you guys for joining. If you are a sports fan with sports fan friends, please make sure to like and share on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube, and Patreon. We do have a Twitch. All it takes is one comment and tell us the game you'd like to see us play on Twitch.
How about this? What do you like playing on Twitch? What's your favorite? What do you do best? If you had to have a bunch of people watch you play, what would you choose?
The games, what I do best is probably take over a sports game and start a career mode or a franchise and take a bad team and make them good.
Okay,
so it's so it would be watching me make the moves and handle the salary cap and different things. Basically, what Nick and I talk about how we should handle our Minnesota sports teams, I would show you in a video game format my example of how I would do it.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Are you one of those guys, if we play Madden, you and I, we go head to head.
Yeah.
I train a little bit first. You're one of those guys who goes for it on 4th and 24 from your own 30. You're not?
Nope.
Okay, then I'll play you.
If I'm 4th and 2 or less past the 50, typically is kind of the
rule. And
so real long story short, I used to run my own online dynasty that had players from Washington to Florida.
So you think
on
you're better than
Madden,
me?
and there were specific. I'm not saying that at all, but there were specific rules, and one of the rules was when you could and couldn't go for it on fourth down. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. But yeah, if you want to catch us on live TV, or on cable, MCN6 here in the Twin Cities, Saturdays at 10 p.m., or you can catch us on the Roku app through MCN6. That's all we have for you guys. So if you are in Minnesota, please stay warm, stay safe, and have fun.
Yeah. Another classic.
Another one without the third musketeer.
Without he who shall not be named.
That's about it.